Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is The Wise Ones. We have a super fabulous guest backstage. Before we bring her out, let's welcome the star of our show, Mr. red.olaughlin. Red, come on out.
Hey, Dr. JACALYN, always nice to be on your show. One of my highlights of my week.
Thank you, Red. It's always good to see you. We haven't been seeing each other as much as in the past with the books. That's going to pick up again. For those of you who don't know, Red is an incredible, amazing book coach and publisher in addition to so many other things. And he's helped me with all my books become either #1 Amazon bestsellers or #1 Amazon new releases. So thank you, Red.
You're most welcome. And we need to get on that next one before we start running out of time.
I'm working on it.
Not that we do, but it sure seems like we get toward the end and then all of a sudden there's just a lot more concern than there should be. Even though we make everything on time, it's not pleasant just to push right up against the boundary.
I'm with you. Red, for people who haven't met you before and they're wondering how you can bring value to their lives, would you please just do a quick introduction of yourself and then we'll bring out our guest.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm a researcher. I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat a symptom, you'll always be treating symptoms. I fell in love with chemistry as a sophomore in high school. I got a degree in it. Wasn't able to practice it at that time because I got an invitation to Vietnam. Came back and wasn't able to touch it until about 10 years ago. I was retired. My wife came down with breast cancer, and I started doing some research into what can I do to help her with some of the side effects that she was having, and managed to solve a lot of them. And I changed over from writing and speaking. I had books and other things that I'd done on self-improvement, motivation, going around the country, selling my books and things at the back of the room. But I fell back in love with chemistry, and since then I've written almost 1,000 articles on LinkedIn, almost all dealing with some aspect of health and wellness. Real specialty is in longevity, and about 1,500 on my blog site, my website. And that's what I do. Other than that, I do help people with their books. I have a couple clients that I'm working with right now as a book coach, a couple more just as a publisher only. And in between that, I speak on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, a broadcast host, and a panelist, and also speak at yesterday I spoke at Chamber of Commerce meeting. So those are the things I typically do on a regular basis. So writer, author, speaker, broadcast host, publisher, just something to keep me busy in my retirement. Back to you, Dr. JACALYN.
Thank you so much, Red. Well, we were talking backstage. This is the first time we have a guest with this title, Muse of Magnificence. I absolutely love this. I'm excited to explore how and why our guest came up with this title. It's truly unique. So we have Swanette backstage. She's joining us today, and I think she's going to be taking us on a journey that will really be eye-opening for many people who hopefully are going to be open and receptive to the wise ones today and to our topic. So let's welcome Swanette to the program. Hello.
Hello. It's an honor to be here with you today.
It's lovely to have you. And for people who are listening on the radio, how do you say your last name? I didn't want to say it wrong.
It's Kuntze, Swanette Kuntze.
Thank you so much. So Swanette, what an incredible title that you have there, Muse of Magnificence. What does this mean and how did you choose this title?
So I think this came up as I figured out that I'm always inspiring people to step into their own magnificence. And this is like not only showing them that they are incredible, but they are really more than that. So that there is the possibility of creating a life beyond brilliance if they really step into their essence, if they really understand who they are and their true identity, and from there create. So this is when they are in their own magnificence. And I'm leading this process as the Muse of Magnificence.
Thank you for sharing that. Was there a time in your life when you were questioning your own magnificence, or so in other words, did it start with you before you started helping others?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have kind of a story of different aspects of my life. So when I was only 8 years old, I had a near-death experience. And it was this moment when I was lying in a doctor's bed, being in coma, and was kind of pulled into the light. And it was so peaceful and calm and loving that I really wanted to go there. And the next time I was pushed back into my body and I woke up from my own screaming and then fell in coma again. And this was the first time that I figured out that there's more than just our so-called bio body, our physical being, but that there is something more. I would call it the spiritual part of us, the higher self. And I went through a lot of trouble seeing beyond, as I'm clairvoyant and precognitive since then, figuring out, okay, most people can't see their magnificence. And for me, it was like I was struggling with life a lot. So I went into medicine. I'm educated in that. I'm also an engineer in chemical environmental technology, worked as a consultant, and then I was a business consultant for many, many years. And from the outside, it looked like I had a jet set life. I was living in trains and planes and hotels, today Paris, tomorrow London, and then Munich. But inside, I felt like I was so little that I really didn't love my life. I didn't love myself. And I took a lot of courses and educating myself to understand who I truly am. Who am I in my own identity and what it is that my mission is here in this world? Because it's not only living a life. I feel that there's more because of being in spirituality for so long. And for me, it's like my own path, going through that and now understanding, of course, what people are going through and helping them to step into their own magnificence.
What an incredible backstory you have. Very interesting.
Yeah, kind of a wow. It's interesting how sometimes we get tied up in our lives and we don't realize that there's something else bigger and better there. And sometimes it's a trauma that opens the door or opens our eyes. And when you see there's something else out there, sometimes we're too scared to even go that direction. Obviously you went that direction, you've studied, you've done a lot. So how did you get from where you were as a jet setter to realizing that maybe you could help more people in another way?
It was a moment, and I can remember as it was yesterday, because I had another week in front of me, like all my suitcases were packed with the project maps and the tickets. And I had to go out of bed at about 5 o'clock to get the next plane to, I don't even know it. I think it was Munich. And so in this moment, I tried to go up and my body said, no way. So I was like in a total burnout and I was not even able to go out of bed anymore. It was like I was so tired and I felt like I could sleep forever. And so I called my assistant and told her, sorry, you have to cancel all my appointments because I need to take care of myself now. And I took 1 week out and went to Madeira Island, where I'm living now. I originally come from Germany. And it was like being in this energy, being in this abundance, just sitting at the ocean and seeing all these plants around me. And it was like, okay, here can I be and here can I recharge myself again. And this was kind of a second tipping point in my life, not only having this near-death experience, but then again being so kind of in a lack of energy that I really had to change my life and understand, okay, what is it that I want to bring out into the world for the next part of my life? And this was sure that I have to change something, otherwise I wouldn't make it very long. And I really felt that now is a time to connect deeper, on a deeper level with people and help them to go through this kind of process. They are perhaps struggling with life, not feeling motivated anymore, or feeling this lack of energy, or going in kind of a loop and don't know how to go out there, not having an understanding what they are truly here are for bringing into this world, and perhaps even like me leading this paradigm shift and creating a better future for humanity.
Interesting.
Yeah, thank you for the work that you're doing and the people you're helping. A question I have that people may be wondering about is, once someone finds their passion, they find their brilliance, they find their magnificence, there are times when things just come our way. We just become bombarded with things. And to Red's point earlier, sometimes we're head down and we're not like taking a big step back and looking. What are some of the things that we can do so we don't start questioning ourselves and end up losing a lot of ground from that we gained by doing the work and by getting to know ourselves?
So one question I would ask before is, do these people have worked on their blocking beliefs, on their traumas, on patterns they do have because of experiences in their own life, or what comes through their ancestral line, or perhaps even through their Akashic records, which are the library of the soul with all the experiences we made? If this didn't happen before, often it is like there's another layer being visible that needs to be unhooked. Like, for example, there's still a moment where you go into a loop of a pattern that comes from being a child, and you don't know that there is still this kind of belief you have deep inside of you, and that is playing out in this world and bringing you experiences, I would say. Sometimes these really feel like they are challenges because people come into your life, or you have situations that are challenging. But for me, these are learning experiences. And you have to understand, why is this coming into your life and what is the teaching out of that? So going into another perspective, reframing what is happening, not going into this, okay, I have this kind of situation and I automatically react in a certain way, but stepping back for a moment, seeing what is the fact and what is your interpretation on this fact and what are possible reactions on that. Because often we make up a story because we always have this idea that we are, for example, victims of life and things are happening and we have to deal with that. But perhaps life is offering us some experiences to learn and to grow and bringing out of our comfort zone. And from there, we understand, okay, this is the next level we can come into. And from there, we can create even more than we ever expected that was possible in our reality.
Swanette, what do you think are some of the causes of having a victim mentality?
Not understanding that we are the creators, that we can really decide and manifest what we want to bring to our life. And often we are trained during childhood that we are not good enough, or that we will never make it, or that things are happening to us and the world is bad and money is evil, and whatever people told us as we were children, and we absorbed it without knowing that this will go deep into our unconscious mind. And also it can be that we can see a pattern that comes through our ancestral line, that during our childhood and even when we were young, we could see how our parents behaved. Like they were behaving as victims, and we thought this is the only way for us to behave as well. And then last but not least, it can happen that we have still energetic connections to past experiences, like past life experiences that play out in our current time, where we had no choice to behave in a different way, or where we were in deep trouble and had no solutions. But in our current life, we perhaps would have. So there are different aspects that can play in playing the victim in our life.
Seems like the pandemic has done a lot to increase the number of people with the victim mentality.
Yeah, I think so, because of course there were rules where we didn't have any influence on, and still I think we always had the choice. And so one thing is to, I would say, obey to what is told us, and the other thing is to find a solution how we can live our best life, and try to behave as much as is needed, and at the same time create the life we want to have. Mm-hmm. So for me here in Madeira, we had, as in many countries, some very strict rules. And for me, it was, no, I will not behave to some of these rules, because I think my health, my life is more important than what people think I have to do. And so this was not easy. And some things I didn't agree on made a lot of trouble, but still I decided I create my life as I want to have it. And what I've seen is that a lot of people, because of fear, because of pressure, behaved against their own values and against what they normally stand for. So they felt like, okay, I can't do anything. I'm the victim of these circumstances.
Thank you, Swanette. To follow up on what you just shared, some people live a life that's very black or white, and then some people are in the world of gray. Do we have to be in the gray world in order to be able to find our magnificence?
Oh, this is an interesting question. I think you have to vary in tones of gray or shades of gray, because sometimes you feel that you are magnificent. You are in this field of being in the light, and everything flows and it goes with ease. And then something is coming into your life, and you feel, okay, now I fall back into black. And then you have to figure out, okay, what is the next gray I can step into? And I think this is a variety we all have in our lives. It's not that everything goes smooth in my life, but it's more understanding, okay, what kind of color I would like to give my life. And it is more like being lightful. It is more like being brilliant. It's more being magnificent. And even then, when I fall back and see, okay, now I'm out of this, how I really want to be as a role model, I will come back. I will try again. It's another moment I can step into that. And this is what I would ask anybody, like, see where can you be in your greatness, and what happens to you if you think it happens to you, and what can you make out of that to come back into your magnificence. It's always a learning process.
Absolutely. I love that. So it's basically shades of gray as opposed to just black, white, or gray.
Swanette, do you find age has a factor on how easy it is to transition from more of a victim status to magnificence?
Not really, because I think we can change even if we are very young or very old. It depends more about if we are mindful about what we are doing and who we are. So even if you are older and feel that, okay, I've lived my life all the way like I'm now, there's still the possibility to look deep into yourself and feel, okay, what is it that I really want to bring out for the future from this moment on? Every day you have the chance to change. And of course, if you have done something for many, many years, there is a deep pattern, a deep path doing the same over and over again. But still, it's possible to change. If you feel that you want to do this transformation and you have a strong why. If someone else told you, oh, you have to change because you have to work out more, no more exercises, eat better, or stop smoking, or whatever. This is nothing that will motivate you. It has to come from deep inside, that you feel, okay, for the person I really want to be, this needs to be transformed. And if you understand why you really want to change something, then age is not a question.
So somebody who's continually learning may bump into some of these things you're talking about as why am I here? What is my legacy? That probably gives them more of a predisposition to wanting to improve, because that's just part of their psyche as far as wanting to learn more. But if you're just a work-a-day kind of guy and that's all you do is go to work, come home, watch TV, eat, go to bed, little likelihood that you even know there's a better world out there. So I can see where there's a lot of dilemmas out there, because there's just so many different kinds of people, and the experiences we have, it just I can see where you have a wide open field of potential clients.
And speaking of that, Swanette, for people who are interested, they want to work with you, how does that process look? If somebody wants to engage with you, how does that happen?
Yeah, so there are different steps. First of all, I need to understand your story and understanding what is it that you want to transform in your life. And then we start with unhooking what is holding you back. So what is this invisible glass ceiling that you can't see but needs to be kicked to go through? And what I do is we start with understanding about your blocking beliefs, about your traumas, and see what is happening in this lifetime. And of course, we clear and reframe that. Then we go into your ancestral line, and often people are not aware what are the behaviors that are given over from one generation to another one. Some are, if it is, for example, violence or alcoholism, this is very visible. But to give you an example from my own family line, my grandmother has been in 2 world wars and my father has been in 1 world war. So every time they created wealth, they lost it somehow. It meant that they couldn't take the wealth worth going to another place, or it was destroyed because of the war. So we had a pattern in our family, like creating wealth, losing everything, creating wealth, losing everything. And I became aware of that because I had this pattern as well. Like I could create a lot of wealth, and then like situation came into my life and I lost money and I lost my wealth. And then I created new. So like Phoenix burned and then out of the ashes again. And after clearing that, my life changed. And so understanding what is coming over from your ancestral line, we will clear this out. And then if you're open for that, we will go into your Akashic records. Again, this is kind of the library of the soul with all the experiences you made. And we will see if there still is an energetic connection to the present time, if there has been an experience that still has an impact in this current lifetime. And also to give you a very short example, I had a client and she was afraid of speaking on stage. And it was not only that she felt like, oh, I have kind of this tickling in the stomach, but it was really like, oh, my mind is going blank. I can't even remember my name. And so we started with this present time and we figured out, okay, there was a moment when she was bullied in school because she couldn't do any calculation on the board, and another moment when she couldn't say poem in front of the family during Christmas time. And we cleared this out. And then we went into her ancestral line, and there was something given over from her mother's side that women were not allowed to speak out in front of adults. Okay, we cleared this out as well. And then it was still not that I would really say this was a massive change. And I asked her to open the Akashic records, and we went into the Akashic records. And as soon as they were open, I could see her standing on a wooden stage, and people in front of her were clapping and laughing. Yeah, go on, go on. But she had a cord around her neck. And the next moment she was hung. And this was like being on stage equals death. Like if I am in front of people on a stage, I will be killed. And there was still an energetic cord to the present time. So every time she went on stage, for her, it was like, the next moment I will be dead. And so we cleared this out, and now she's able to speak on stage and be of value for people, bringing out her story and sharing her experiences and making the change for the world. So this is the first part.
So very interesting. You make it sound like clearing a limiting belief is almost like a light switch, but I know it's a lot more than that. Could you go a little deeper into what actually is part of the process of clearing a limiting belief?
Yeah, you have to understand what is the belief first. And often people know that they have kind of stories about themselves, that during their childhood, or even when they were young children or young adults, there were something like they had the feeling they were not enough, or they had the feeling that they are not important, or nobody is seeing them. So first of all, we have to figure out what is this belief that is holding them back to step into their magnificence. And then there are different kind of tools I can use, like using tools of NLP, doing a reframing, or I work with energy healing as well, using the emotion code for bringing out all the trapped emotions that are connected to this belief and that are stored in the cells in the body, and bringing out these kind of trapped emotions and clearing therefore these beliefs. So different tools to do that. And even if people fear that this goes very deep, that it is more even like a trauma, I use something that is called wing wave, that is based on EMDR. So I have a pack of different tools I can use depending on how deep is this belief, where it comes from, and on what kind of level it is located.
Would you say, Swanette, in the work that you do, that you are an empath or medium or psychic in any way?
All of that.
All of that. Okay. Because we didn't really clarify that from the beginning. So that's what I wanted to make sure. So for people who are not aware of what those things are and how you can help them in those ways, can you share more?
Yeah. So of course, first of all, I'm an empath. I can feel other people. But also, since I had this near-death experience at the age of 8, I'm clairvoyant and precognitive. And this means like you can see with your normal eyes, and I can see even beyond. It's like I'm getting pictures or short scenes about what happened in your life. And being precognitive, I also get instant knowledge. I get words, or I get short sentences. And it is like I'm downloading this kind of information from the morphic field. And you could see the morphic field is something like, in technology would say it's the internet. So all information is stored there, and I'm connected to this morphic field, and I can download this information and make it visible for my clients.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. I was just thinking about what you were saying. So when you're doing this clearing process, I would imagine that your client has to be open to the clearing. Was that an accurate statement?
He needs to be willing to step into this adventure and into this experience. But this work also is functioning if people don't believe in that. So it's not about that they really must have a deep belief in, okay, this kind of work is working for me, but they must at least be open and willing to try and willing to step into this adventure with me.
Yeah, that makes good sense.
Swanette,
Thank you.
one of my friends here in Houston uses hypnosis primarily for addressing PTSD problems. A lot of military and law enforcement and stuff. Is that a tool you also use, hypnosis?
No, I use trance, which is not so deep as hypnosis, and it brings people into a relaxed state, and for me, more easy to work with them. But it's not hypnosis what I'm using. No.
Trance. I'm not sure that. So it's kind of like hypnosis light.
Yeah.
It's a term I haven't heard. I know trance, but I didn't realize it was a different or a medium between a tool of hypnosis and, just sitting there talking to somebody about, well, tell me about your background. So apparently there's a little incremental place on the way to hypnosis that you can open up somebody's ability to share or to become more readable. Maybe that's a better word.
Yeah, to access the way or the path to the subconscious. So this is what is happening with bringing people into a trance.
Swanette, we have another show on our platform, and we talk a lot about grief, about loss. And I was wondering, are these areas that you can really make some major inroads with people who are grieving for years and years and they can't move forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one aspect if people are lost, and I would call this people being in a trauma, because if you lost someone who you really loved or you had a really deep relationship with, it often feels like a part of you is missing. And there is this moment of a trauma when this person is not, or this person is not there anymore. So getting a relief out of grief is definitely something I could help with. Yeah.
What about pain? I mean, I use emotional freedom techniques, or I recommend it for people with chronic pain. Is that another area of your expertise?
Not so much. So I'm not working with people who are in pain. Often, like, pain is a symptom, but there is something like a deeper source behind that is creating this pain or this sickness. And it is more for me to understand what is causing it, what is the source of the problem that shows up as pain, for example, and I would work on that. I'm not working on the pain, so to say.
So maybe you're working on the cause. You find the cause and you can try to fix a problem, or at least address it significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like similar work to what you do, Red, as a longevity expert.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was just saying. Find a cause, fix a problem, find a symptom, or treat a symptom. And you'll always treat symptoms because you're not making any inroads into actually making a change into anything. And whether it's an emotional issue or a nutritional issue, you still have a cause that needs to be addressed if you want to see some level of success. And so what she's talking about makes all the sense in the world to me.
Mm-hmm. Swanette, I'm wondering, for people who believe in reincarnation and they've had multiple lives, it sounds like there's a lot of information that can be gleaned and used to understand what the purpose of that person's life is in this life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it is like we go through lifetime and lifetime to experience something that will bring us closer to what we really at the end have to create here in this world. And at the moment, I feel that we are in kind of crossroad. Either we can continue going into more this technocratical way, or we can go into this magical way. And a lot of people that I would call old souls are here on this planet right now to liberate humanity and really bring the world into a different kind of frequency, a higher frequency, so that everybody can live in peace and freedom. So we are, as old souls, are kind of educated lifetime over lifetime to now step into our wisdom, our gifts, and use all that what we have learned before. So when I step into my Akashic records, for example, I can see lifetimes where I have been something you would call a witch or a priestess. And these lifetimes offered me a lot of experiences, a lot of wisdom that I can access right now. So there's not only the knowledge of today, what I've been educated as being in medicine and being the engineer, but also what has been learned in past lives. And I think everybody who now feels like being a healer or a therapist or a coach or consultant, or really feel that he or she has a very strong mission to create something on this planet. I'm sure you are an old soul and had a lot of lifetimes where you already experienced parts of that, what you're creating now. And sometimes it's like people feel like they have done this forever. They don't have to learn that. Like they have this kind of attraction to plants or attraction to people, or even for me, like I'm a magnet for animals as well. Like if you have a sick animal running around somewhere, you can be sure it will find me. And
Swanette, I have so many more questions to ask you, but we're running out of time. So I want to have you share about the podcast that you do. And can anybody sign up to be a guest? What does that process look like?
Yeah, my podcast is Holistic Creators, Shaping the Future for the 4 Ps: People, Planet, Purpose, and Profit. And I interview people that are leading thinkers, that are mavericks, that are visionaries, people who walk the talk and can speak about health, about well-being, about spirituality, about sustainability, or how to create a humanity plus business. And there is an application. You can send me a message, and then I send out a pre-interview form and a booking link so that you can book into my calendar and be on my show.
Fantastic. Thank you. I have one more question, but Red, I'll go to you to see if you have a follow-up question.
No follow-up questions. I'm just thinking about who I could recommend, or what could I do to follow up myself in regard to what she was just talking about. So you kind of caught me off guard there.
Sorry. So my question is kind of out there, and I know we don't have a lot of time left, but for people who believe that they have been reincarnated and that they're going to be coming back, is it possible, like when we plan for retirement, we put a plan in place? Can we put a plan in place for our next life?
If we leave a legacy here, yes. And this is not so much about being wealthy, but what we really bring into this world, how we support humanity and this planet. And if you come back and we'll figure out that you will be in the next version of paradise, then your legacy was good and you will have an amazing and magnificent new lifetime.
Fantastic. Great answer. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here today. And I hope that you'll come back on this or any of our other shows and continue to support your work. We'd love to do that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And again, people can email you. Would you like to just give that contact information again to our audience?
Yeah, you can email me on info@beyondbrilliance.live. Or you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram with my name, Swanette Kuntze.
Okay, the info at Beyond Brilliance is beyond-brilliance, BRILLIANCE.life, LIFE.
Thank you for that clarification, Red. All right, and Red, how can people reach out to you?
Primarily my website, red.olaughlin.com. Red like the color, RED, O'Laughlin spelled OLAUGHLIN. So it's REDOLAUGHLIN, red.olaughlin.com. On my banner there is my contact information. My 2 preferred methods are phone. Just pick up the phone, give me a call. I do take texts, so I'm just not as responsive as phone calls. And the other way is email. Just send me an email and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can.
Thank you, Red. And our next show is coming up, and it's your show, Talking Heads. Can you tell our audience what they can expect to learn today?
Yes, in about, looks like 11 or 12 minutes, Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network every Thursday at 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. My show deals with health and wellness. We're doing a 6-part series right now on cancer, its causes and options. I research what causes things to happen. And we talked about some unusual things last week on, what is the real cause of cancer? And a lot of people think it's, a genetic mutation in the DNA. And yet there may be another one. And we talked about, that as an opening. So I'm following up on that, but going into some more, not intimate detail, but detail in areas that we don't necessarily think are really helpful. So next 5 weeks, we'll be delving into cancer, what is its causes, and what real options are effective in addressing some of those issues. So Talking Heads, red.olaughlin coming up here very shortly.
Thank you so much, Red. Thank you, Swanette. It's a pleasure having you here. Please go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV, and subscribe. If you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, we have about 30 live shows a week. Go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com. Thanks so much. It's a pleasure having you here today, Swanette. Thank you, Red. I appreciate you as well. Bye, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.